Good evening, Twitter. It's your boy. Today, I wanted to make a video about a game that I've been stuck on for quite a while. That game is Warhammer 40k Battlesector. I've always loved turn-based strategy games, and some of my closest friends in college got me into playing tabletop wargaming as a whole. So I thought it'd be fun to start a playthrough of their Planetary Supremacy preview. So basically, Planetary Supremacy is more of a free roam campaign. There are two layers to it. You have a turn-based strategy map, as well as the actual in-game battles. And I think I'm going to try Necrons first because they are my favorite 40k faction. I'm gonna up the difficulty a little bit because I've played through several Planetary Supremacy campaigns on the normal difficulty, and wasn't a whole lot of tension or risk involved. So I think Blood Angels and Tyranids would be good opponents. So without further ado. Alright, so to start every Planetary Supremacy campaign, you have to complete at least one battle in order to claim your actual home base. Also, you may notice we're fighting Chaos Demons of Khorne, so there are demons as another minor faction that you will fight as NPCs while fighting the two other main armies. I'm probably not going to spend too much time worrying about placement. In some of the recent patches of this game mode, they've also made it so that the enemy army can spawn pretty much anywhere it wants to across the map. It used to be in previous versions, a lot of it was more or less just march forward and clashes they feed into you in the middle, but now I need to watch both my back and my flanks.
Efficient. Confirmed.
I really do hope that the developers and publisher keep adding content to this game, because I think there really is a pretty good market for Warhammer strategy games that feature like a larger cast of different factions. I also just really love the sound design in this game, especially the flayed ones. So, a little bit of basics about Battlesector if you're unfamiliar or new to the game. So, it is turn-based, and every unit is going to have movement and action points. You're allowed to use your action points to gain extra movement if you're not attacking. And that's what I'm doing right here, because flayed ones are melee. No one's within reach right now, so we're just trying to get as much distance as we want. And you'll notice that each unit has its own individual abilities as well. Every army has a unique trait to it that will give it something called momentum, and the benefits of that momentum are also dependent on who you're playing. But once you reach 100 momentum, you gain an ability called Surge, and that either lets you get an extra action point or it lets you make one of your abilities stronger. So for example, flayed ones, they're known for dimensionally tunneling, crawling out, smelling blood on the battlefield, wearing people's flesh. So you could potentially empower this once they reach their total Surge. So you'll notice, like for Necrons, they get passive momentum as a result for just moving away from their starting position. Now this will grow. This remembers the original tiles that you visited. This isn't just on a per turn basis, so you do need to keep expanding. There isn't you're not allowed to essentially walk back and forth in order to try to rub your feet on the carpet and charge up your momentum. So I'm going to go ahead and just start getting everybody run ahead here. See if I can find something to do while I'm explaining all of this. I am going to save the action points for some of my ranged guys because they will have the ability to overwatch.
You have targets.
I think for now I'm just going to wait to see what the general Fog of War Auspex is going to tell me about where the demons are. I do believe that is a skull cannon somewhere out there, at least by the sound of it. So, I'm going to go ahead, try to get a look. That's 2 skull cannons. Alright, that's definitely interesting. I'm excited. So,
Progressing.
I'm going to go ahead and catch up the rest of my army. Do need to be careful not to spread out too far while doing this. But just to go over some of the extra abilities that are pretty standard for Necrons. They have reanimation protocols, which allows them a certain chance to revive up to a certain number of models each turn. It's a very... I like this system. I think it's a very good approximation of how they work on the tabletop. And I also think it's fair because there is a cap to how many are going to stand back up, so you won't get into situations where you can't kill the entire group because one of them just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling.
I see all. I carry death with me.
Yeah, so for now I think I'm just going to keep moving. And I'm probably going to get my HQ, the Hexmark, over here. That is a lot of demons to be fighting. So as you saw right there, the blade ones normally would have been wiped from those 2 skull cannons, but because of reanimation protocols, I was able to hold on to the squad. And that's very important for Planetary Supremacy because as long as one member of your squad is alive at the end of the battle, you get to keep the entire unit in your roster. And talking again about the momentum, you'll notice like the Necrons' bonus for their momentum is that they heal a certain % of their health every turn that's spread out across all of the members of the group. But that being said, I think it's probably time to run this guy away. So we're gonna throw him in the corner here for a second. Another thing to note, characters, HQ units, will have 2 action points, which makes them very potent. I am going to go ahead and take shots first.
Death by my hands.
Alright, that's quite good damage. So let's go ahead and charge our Scorpex in. I really do like the Threshers they have. They're not as heavy as the Great Blade that they can carry, but they're very versatile. Will not be within range to get a melee in there. Alright, and that's our first unit killed. So you see that we're going to have a certain target that we need to reach. So the best guess that I have is that this is a percentage approximation of the army. And so you don't need to wipe the entire enemy army in this encounter. You just need to be the first one to destroy 80%.
Heavy fire support.
You also notice as I'm moving around with ranged units here, these orange circles, these relate to your optimal range for the weapon. So every weapon is going to have a certain accuracy fall off if it's too far or too close from its target. And there are also cover bonuses in the game that also will stack as you try to shoot through other groups, whether they're your friendlies or your opponent. So I usually like to shoot with the longer range weapons first and file in the closer ranged options as the fight goes on. You'll also see, in addition to getting the momentum for moving, killing things is the easy way that every army in the game is going to get its momentum up.
Who is next on the list?
So, no, I said I would shoot the longest range first, but this will be a good example of making that mistake. So yeah, there is some light cover here just from shooting around. Still very nice damage. I also, part of the reason why I love Necrons, especially in video game media for Warhammer, just the particle of the Gauss rifle disintegrating things, it's just very satisfying. You know, I say that, but apparently the demons, as an added piece of content, don't have that. So, I feel a little bit stupid right now trying to show that off. But I promise you, we will see some Tyranids and some Space Marines disintegrating in our future. These skull cannons are quite far away. So I think what I'm going to do is play a little bit strategic here and try to use some of that cover to my advantage.
Repositioning.
Deathmarks, also a very fun unit. They are able to also tunnel through dimensional translocation. They get a couple uses every battle, but very good reposition, and that I think it's very important because while their weapon has a lot of range, it also has a lot of accuracy fall off. So you really want to make sure that you're in the correct position in order to shoot. My flayed one's here. I think I'm going to throw them back here and start trying to flank them. Get an idea. You know, I really been on a diet lately. It's worth it, but it's not easy. Let's take a look at what kind of... Pretty sure these guys are going to be out of range, but I'm still interested. Yeah. Alright, I'm actually going to move these guys back because I really don't want to take early damage on my immortals. Gonna use my last action point for these. And then the only person left is just our one brave flayed one here. Probably just gonna let him chill.
Another life to extinguish.
Didn't look like that tent offered nearly as much cover as I wanted it to. Thankfully, Scorpex definitely hanging in there. One Bloodletter's not going to hurt that much. I am interested to see if the HQ Bloodthirster. No, that's a demon, but we'll take a look at him when he shows up, I'm sure.
Our targets wait.
So can't go there without using the action points. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this.
Firing on target.
Necrons as a whole, their Gauss weaponry, deatomizing things in lore, always has very reliable armor piercing, so you can pretty much chew through anything if you just have enough lightning that you shoot at it over time.
Blood from afar.
That's some good damage. I think we're going to go ahead, see if we can't finish him off. It is a shame that there's only one Bloodletter left right here, because it feels a little bit wasteful to use an entire action point to get rid of him. It is a very difficult spot to gain line of sight on. If we get a lucky shot, though, we might be able to pull it off. So, not as bad accuracy as I was expecting. This should do the trick. And you can see Skull Cannon worth much more than just the one Bloodletter port. Now I'm trying to remember where this Skull Cannon decided to drive off to. Yeah, okay, so he's right here. I don't have enough range to get to him yet. It is kind of entertaining that fighting Corn Demons, you're having to chase after one of them. Little bit ironic. Not too worried about the hex mark right
Whose
now.
life do we end next?
So, if I had to kill Mr. Bloodletter with anybody, probably just going to use the Warriors so the Immortals have a chance to move up in Overwatch. Then again, really is not much they're going to be within range to shoot.
Heavy fire support.
Let's take a look. So, you can see for their momentum gains here, you can tell that they started in this quadrant right here, and so as they've been weaving across, the X and Y of the amount of like territory that they've visited gets bigger and bigger. So if I want them to gain a little bit of extra momentum, which will help them heal over time, you can see like I want to move them to one of these squares right here. You don't, especially when playing against the AI, you don't really have to worry that much about these specifics, but I think it is a really fun, in-depth way to handle Battlesector. You'll also notice when you build your army within certain parameters, like you're not abusing, spamming the same unit type across your entire points, you'll get extra momentum just for having more of a realistic, cohesive force. So even though they would normally only get 5 after moving the 3 tiles away from where they were, they're going to get an extra 25%, and that rounds up to 2. So it's quite nice. Especially because you're just building this up just passively for taking more and more space. So I can grab these guys too. These guys are already within their benefit, but they don't have anyone to hit, so why not get them closer? And emotional support, Flayed One, you're doing a great job. I don't know how to feel about the camera focusing right there. Doesn't make me feel good. Yeah, there it is. That was a good hit. Are those 2 different skull cannons? Or do they have more action points than I realized? As you can see, Reanimation Protocol's such a fun ability. Still holding on to all of my points because at the end of the day, 40% chance across 5 models, there's a very high chance you're going to get at least 1 Necron back. So, he's coming right over to us. So this is a good time to talk about melee combat. But first, I'm going to soften him up with a little bit of Hexmark. What you saw me do earlier, charging the first group that I was fighting here with the Scorpex, you notice that, well, one, they all fully died, but if they had not died, they wouldn't have retaliated because it was a full charge. It basically is a free initiation of melee. However, because I am right next to the Skull Cannon, if I were to attack into him, it would give him an opportunity, if he lives, which he will, to attack back. So, in order to prevent that, we're going to do shooting before melee.
Blood from afar! Blood from afar!
Not that far away, Skull Cannon, but I appreciate the enthusiasm. Okay. Trying to figure out, because these guys are worth about 17%. There's at least 2 more of them over there. So that's... If I can go and hunt them down after I finish this guy off, it's gonna go well, I think. Let's see if he survives this. Nope, not quite. Yes, he did say flesh-flayed ones. Alright, so...
Progressing.
Another thing to note about the teleport abilities that your flayed ones and death marks have, you do have to have line of sight, so even if you have a very large tile range, like I would not be able to teleport here. Not that it's ever a huge problem, the line of sights are pretty generous in Battlesector, I find. So I think I'm going to save that for now. And I'm going to keep holding on to the rest of my injured squads. So Another thing to mention, I've talked a lot about momentum while I'm sitting here thinking about a lot of my moves. If you choose to Overwatch, you will lose 10% momentum for that turn. If you have an action point remaining and you do not Overwatch, either because you choose not to or you can't in the case of a melee-only unit, you lose 20 momentum. And so, even if I'm not necessarily gaining anything from moving these guys in this turn because the area that they've started and gone to is now very large, if I keep using their action point to gain more ground, I can at least hold on to what they've got for the ball rolling right now. Which is nice because that means that every turn they're going to heal 5% of their HP, and after taking that Skull Cannon hit across like a couple turns, they're going to start regaining their strength. So we've got the flayed ones. I am going to go ahead and translocate over here. What's really great about this teleport is that it doesn't consume their movement. It will consume their action point, but this is going to give me an opportunity to get them closer than where they just teleported to and also get them into cover. I might... Scorpex are quite reliable on their own. You can see any kind of like chip that they took because they've been rocking their momentum. It's going to buff out. I'm going to go over here because I want to see if there's anyone left in these corners to deal with. And our last played one. Camera really likes that charred mark on the ground from the Skull Cannon. Ah, here they come. Alright. I might actually prioritize some of these Flesh Hounds first. They have a AoE damaging attack. They essentially roar at you, scream at you, and it hurts. It hurts quite a lot. But this is a good opportunity to show what makes Flayed Ones fun. I'm going to go ahead and soften them up. So,
Our targets wait.
Flayed Ones have a type of flesh hunger ability when they kill or they fight something that's not a vehicle. You know, if anything in this game is going to have flesh, probably be something called a Flesh Hound. But you'll see, this is also talking about how they're going to get retaliated because I didn't charge. And okay, I did misremember this. So they do need to get at least one kill, and unfortunately they didn't quite knock out one of those. So as much as I did talk about focusing on the Flesh Hounds, because our death marks are only going to make one shot each, and they have a very high armor piercing, I am going to start chipping at this Skull Cannon. I do praise the sound design in this game, but I do find some of the demon voice acting to be just a little bit goofy, you know? We're gonna keep force marching everybody.
Our targets wait.
I'll save their dimensional translocation. I might go ahead and move these guys forward. There's a decent enough chance that one of them is going to be able to
My
reanimate.
purpose is slaughter.
There's definitely enough points remaining here to kill the rest of the 80% that we're going to need, so I am going to start getting everybody back over here. And, emotional support, Played One, you can sit tight again. Let's see if they do the Scream here, to show just how much damage it's going to do. Might not even need to with the Skull Cannons. So yeah, there, reanimation, it's very fun to play with, very unfun to play against. So let's see if we get another player back. Fortunately not. Nope. He was just thinking about it. That, right there, that probably made the difference between those Fleshhounds finishing those flayed ones. And so we're out of charges for this, so we do need to get rid of these Fleshhounds before we fall back, because if you just... You can do a fallback action, which will increase your evasion, but it doesn't guarantee that you won't get struck on the way out. So what's more reliable, in my opinion, is trying to kill everything that's in melee with you before getting your casualties out.
Heavy fire support.
So we're going to go ahead and take some shots. Should already be in the perfect range. I do believe I'm probably just going to use these warriors to help finish this healthier pack. Okay. Keep running them over here. Get the immortals out of the way, which will give us... You can move through friendly units, but you're going to spend extra movement in doing so. So it's always kind of nice to play a little bit of a cha-cha slide with everybody, get your actions off, and then filter in the rest of your units that still have a chance to take some shots. So, while they're walking into place, I'm going to go ahead and start doing some more damage. I wonder what he can see over here. Nothing sneaking up on him.
Who is next on the list?
And that's another kill. Very, very nice armor piercing, very high damage. Their death marks truly are what I consider in Battlesector a multi-tool. They can reposition, they hit hard. If you respect how their accuracy works, you can pretty much leverage them against whatever you want. Let's see if he's going to... No, not quite. So... I still hear the skull cannon out there.
Death by my hands.
I suppose I could have used some of the hex marks AP. Never mind, that was actually enough to finish our first battle. Alright, so as you can see here, this is the second layer of the strategy that I was talking about in the beginning of the video here. So you've got in every corner 3 armies, always going to be in the bottom here, and you've got Blood Angels and Tyranids. In the same way that you have action points in the battles themselves, you're going to have action points on the board. You can use them to upgrade your army. The tokens that I got at the end of that fight represent what you can afford here. So you see there's a cost as you're going down the tree. While I'm here, I am looking at my options. I do very much enjoy using the Plasmancer, but I might wait until I can get some of the better war gear. You can see that even though we didn't really take any casualties, we also aren't at our full army cap. So what is always a good idea to do when you're first getting in, before you start saving up and buying a bunch of upgrades, just filling out the amount of room that you have. I am probably going to get some more score packs. You'll notice that for special units, you have a limit to how many you can recruit each turn by these requisitions. You might notice there's quite a lot of them, given the different options we currently have to choose from. We'll unlock more of our Necrons to play with as we're going through this campaign. And if you're really impatient and you really, really like a particular unit, you can spend extra requisition to remove the cooldown and immediately recruit the same unit again. For things such as warriors and flayed ones, like your standard battle line, including scarabs, can't forget about our most beloved unit in the Necron roster. You're going to be able to recruit an infinite number of them, so no matter how many times I add or remove them, always going to be able to keep changing to fill in the last bits of points that we have. So I think having a little bit more volume of fire is going to be pretty reliable here. I probably enjoy having another Immortal, another Necron squad, and so that leaves us with about 250 points left. What do we want to do with those? Hex marks are very fun to play with. Death marks would also give us a good amount of more armor piercing. That's just because if I put these two together, that's just going to be 260. So I think I'm going to keep myself to a rule for this playthrough to only have one of each HQ in my army at a time. It was very fun towards the end of my last Planetary Supremacy campaign with Necrons having 3 hex marks on the field, but I think it's going to keep it more interesting if I keep it streamlined and force myself to play with a little bit more variety. I'm going to go ahead and just grab... Yes, death marks. So we're just shy of being able to afford another squad. What if I remove them and I think I'm still going to be 5 points short. Yes. Who else can I trim here? I'd rather not remove any of the units that I had from the first battle. You'll notice that they gain campaign history. These accolades are called veterancy, and they used to not do anything, but for every battle a unit survives in the campaign, they're going to get a stacking percent accuracy and crit chance increase. It doesn't amount to much when you've only won one battle and the stack is only 1%, but if you're playing a longer campaign, including the actual Blood Angels story, if you have somebody surviving 10, 15 battles, it's going to be a significant difference between them and somebody that you're going to pull fresh out of the box. I don't think there is a way right now that I'm really happy with to finish filling out these last 25 points. So I think we're going to call it there. And so we have one more action point, and so you can use an action point to also claim adjacent tiles. So these tiles here that have this is Imperial Bunker, they're more of a standard outpost, standard resource tile. Most of the time they're going to give you an army cap bonus, somewhere between 100 and 200 points. I don't know if the decorations on the tile are always indicative of what you're going to run into there. So for example, this is a Imperial looking outpost. This is just more of a blank desert terrain. I would imagine if anyone was going to be here, it might be hostile Necrons, like the Mephra Dynasty Necrons that you can run into. And this right here, we see a warp gate, so there's a good chance there might be demons on our left and our right. So if I hit claim, yeah, okay, so there you go. Chaos Demons of Khorne. And I wonder, who is going to be on this tile? So it's also going to be demons. And it's 1500 points, so this would be a very interesting fight, but I think this has gone on long enough for one video. Thank you for watching, and I'm going to pick this up in the next video. Have a good day.